What's up, amigos? Commander Jaime here today, and I'm excited to have another opportunity to interview a top-end player, and his name is Sergio. Sergio, do you want to say hi and also what deck you played?
Hi, I'm Sergio, and I played Kairi in Vancouver BCS Standard, and I won with it.
That's awesome, man. And not only that you won with it, what place did you place, though?
Uh, I placed first with it. It was my first regional win,
Mhm.
winning a regional. So it's a pretty special top.
That's super exciting. Like, not only you just topped the BCS, but you also won the whole thing too.
Yeah.
So that's impressive too. And we're gonna dive more into your deck list and everything. And so for the viewers, I'll have pictures of the deck as well. And then as we go through that, I'll have timestamps as well. And so, one thing I do want to say is that, and be upfront, is that Sergio is one of my Metafy students too. He's used Metafy even with Derek Dow and a few other people too. So he's gained a lot from it. And I'm personally humbled just to have another player just be able to make it a world. So I'm proud of you, bro. You've earned it. And I'm sure you have your own thoughts that you want to share too throughout this interview. But I just want to be upfront with the viewers too. And with that being said, I guess we'll start with the intro. So, like, tell us a little bit about yourself, like where your community is from, and also maybe some of the goals that you've had over the past few years too.
All right. So I'm from Canada. I live in the province that's right across from Vancouver in Alberta, in the city of Calgary. I started playing Vanguard when I was 9. I'm 19 now, so it's been about 10 years now since I've been playing Vanguard. I grew up with it. And the community for Vanguard is actually growing a lot. We recently just had our biggest shop challenge being 30 players, which is crazy to think about. We had about over 60 players just playing Bushy Road games too, because there was also the Weiss community playing a lot
That's good.
and having challenges. So the community here is actually growing, which is really, really nice.
No,
And some of my
go
competitive
ahead.
goals is becoming a world champ, worlds this year, which I was able to make, regional champ, which I was also able to make, getting one top in each format at least once. So now I'm just missing the V premium top. So I'm going to definitely be working a lot towards that.
That's awesome, and you've completed one of your goals that you've been wanting to do recently, and then you're already setting new goals. That's really big. And you just mentioned that you said you're 19 and you played for 10 years so far, right?
Yes, but I started competing when I was 13.
Mm,
So 4 years into the game, that's when I really discovered I wanted to kind of start competing.
yep.
And then I started to compete when I was 13, and then 2 years after that, I made my first worlds when I was 15.
Wow, that's impressive, bro. I know you and I had chatted before, but it's just like you have more years of experience than I do, and you're younger than me. And just to give some perspective to the viewers too, and I'm sure some people are like, "Wow, like he has 10 years of experience and he's only 19," so that's really cool. But just having your, what's the word I'm looking for? You have skin in the game, and you definitely after a while you want to see some type of achievement, which is good, and you are seeing it too. So I guess that leads into my next question. For this BCS, what are some things that you did to prepare for it? Whether it be like playing with others or maybe like metagame discussions or play testing, anything like that you want to share?
Yeah, so I did a lot of research specifically into the standard and V metagame. I would watch a lot of footage from Japan, especially since when I started to get into the competitive part of the game, one of my best friends, Sean, he started sending me channels from Japan, and then I kind of just started watching them more and more because that's how he does his research. A lot of the time, I did a lot of practice. I would drill a lot. I go to the shop almost every day of the week after work
Wow.
if I had time, just to go play with my friends. Even if it was with weaker players, it's still practice. I'm still I still have something to learn from, I find. Whether it's tidying up my plays or playing against something I'm not familiar with and they just curve me because of that, stuff like that. And I also worked with Hyman because I was also playing in BRO. I was really needing to work on my mindset too, especially. So having good mindset chats with yourself and my other really close friends really helped. And then the community just offering to be okay, what do you need to practice against? Is there
Mm-hmm.
anything that you
Yep.
need tips on and stuff? Everybody just willing to help was just such a big contributor to my success, I believe.
No, that's big that you mentioned that too. Even the community itself is much more positive compared to other TCGs too. So it's just like, hey, like, sure, you need practice with so and so, let's do it, you know. So that's
Yeah.
super helpful. I was gonna say, so why did you end up picking Kairi?
So I wanted to play Bastion. I know that because like my
Mm-hmm.
first D deck was Bastion because I am a huge Paladin fan. Like
Oh
Predator
yeah.
Sanctuary is my favorite. Gold Paladin's my favorite clan, so I'm super invested in the Paladins. But when I first saw Kairi's gameplay from
Yep.
Japan in like I think it was the Gamers Dogma Cup, I was like, whoa, this is like actual Bermuda Triangle. And I was already a big Bermuda Triangle fan as well. So it's like, yeah, let's do this. I'll pick this deck up. And then I've been playing Kairi since the release in English, and I just hadn't stopped playing it. And I was feeling a bit rusty with Bastion, so it was more of a comfort pick than anything, where it's like, I'm really comfortable with this deck. This is also like, out of all the decks I own, the strongest deck, I think. Because Kairi is a lot stronger than Bastion is currently, especially with the hit to dark strain. So I just felt a lot more comfortable taking it, especially because Kairi was a lot more versatile in how you can play into the other prominent matchups, especially against the really popular like control decks or like super aggressive decks like Flagberg as well, which I did play against quite a bit. So that's why I picked Kairi.
No,
And I
that,
was also expecting Magnolia to be at regionals at the time before it got hit. So it's also like, oh yeah, like this deck can also just like check Magnolia because I can like stack defensive triggers with Eileen and I can hit it super hard, way faster than it.
you're saying before the hit. Gotcha.
Yeah, or the hit with like in the pulse and stuff, right? So it's like, so that was definitely like the go-to.
Gotcha. And then that makes a lot of sense too. Like you have two decks that you feel that are pretty solid, but obviously you were more comfortable with one and you feel a lot more confident in it, which is a big factor too. Because I think one of the biggest mistakes that I've learned very early on, and I did this in Yu-Gi-Oh, is that I took a deck that I made a lot of changes to, and I did horrible. My parents, not parents, wow. My opponents were saying that I was slow playing or taking too long, and then eventually I scrubbed out. So it's very important just to feel more comfortable and confident going into an event. And I think you did the right choice too, and it obviously paid off. And is there something that you want to highlight with Kairi? I know some players are pretty familiar with like the winning image. It does multi-attack. Maybe dig into some of the cards into it. I noticed that you play a lot of beaters. Was there specific reasons why you ran certain ratios? Go ahead and highlight that.
Yeah. So specifically, I played. If we take a look into the grade 2 lineup specifically, because I know there's like a 2 of and then a 1 of. So I played the Devil Girl that like on place, if you have 3 or more rear guards, other rear guards, you can count plus 1 to draw, because effectively it's a 5th melty. B, if you boost with Eileen to look at the top card of your deck and you leave it on top, you don't have to like bottom deck it to like dig for triggers. You can just draw that card. So if it's a PG, but you still want to like increase your chances of hitting triggers, when you would call the Devil Girl from Kairi's effect, you can use her skill to still draw that card. So you get that PG, and like I think it like that play specifically can also throw off your opponent a bit, which is really good. I found that it actually did come in too during testing, having that extra draw, especially when you're playing against very aggressive decks or very control decks where you need to plus back to your hand a lot. Being able to guarantee a plus back to your hand from like calling LT and generating your board, it was super useful. And then I played the Lopil, so she's the shield one, because a friend of mine suggested these 2 texts to me, and it was because the fact that this format is so like big, especially when it comes to pushing for shield values. Like being able to just push in increments of 10k shield is really good, because that's typically 2 cards or a trigger, either it being a draw trigger or like
it makes for that awkward number.
Shield, right? So it's like being able to have additional cards that gain shield is really useful, especially because I can also have it as an interceptor to face potential guard restricts. Like decks like Lauren Errol, where they have Sentinel restrict, I can still intercept with it, reveal the Kairi, it has the 15k shield. It came up in my top 4 game actually, where I had to it was really close because I was really scared of getting like a 2 to pass breaking, and my hand was pretty like, I had to guard in a very particular manner just to make the most out of my shield, and having that extra card that was a 15k shield, especially because it was the prison matchup. So I needed to keep the second grade 4 Kairi in my hand anyways. Like being able to have that shield come in because I needed the grade 4 Kairi for the reride, it really came in. So that's why I play her at 2. It's also really good discard fodder if like you don't have the Kairis and it's just like, okay, well I can just ditch it then for my ride deck, or I can just like throw it onto the board, rush with it like super hard, and like it can die and that's cool. So that's why I played her. And then I think a big thing that really did come up was the grade 3 at 3. She's really, really key in the prison matchup because she allows you to refund your soul consistently whenever you play her, so you can keep soul blasting for the prison. And something that I feel like a lot of players don't realize with Kairi, unless you're very experienced with the deck, is that Kairi is a deck that is very reactive, especially against its worst matchups, where you need to play a very specific way. You need to be able to adapt with it. I find that the skill cap with it too can be quite high, especially going up against decks like Prison, because if you mismanage your resources, you take damage incorrectly, it just snowballs like super hard. So like for sure, like having that 3 of grade 3 Kinky, like it came up a lot, especially in the prison matchups, because like I just kept my prison super empty. Like I would imprison her on turn 1 when they would rip a card from my hand, and then it's like I call her back, I refund the soul, it's as if nothing happened.
Yeah, that's big. You're presenting and then the best cards to present in your advantage.
Yeah, and so that's also why I played her at 3. I also needed to see her because I played 3 of the chick that calls stuff from soul during the Assassine. Right? Yeah. So then that way also you can consistently recycle the grade 2 because that's your best call target from her. And like that's pretty much why I played like certain ratios like that. The grade 1 lineup as well is like, I think 3-ups for all of them was like perfect because I saw everything really nicely. Like even the 10k booster friend, because I also play the friend engine like Larissa
I did notice
does come in, and even though she didn't come in as much during the regional event, she came in a lot prior. So like the shop challenge that I won for the buy card, the competitions that led up to it, like she came up a lot. We're having like a free 25k attacker because I have like 5 friends on board. Like it was crazy. So also having the 10k booster is really useful.
Oh yeah, you make those magic numbers easily.
Yeah, like 23 is like actually kind of scary against a grade 4 if you think about it, because it's like 25k shield is like 2 to pass, right? Instead of having like 20k shield be 2 to pass, right? Compared to like 21. So like there was that too. And then Eileen definitely came in a lot because there was a lot of times where I needed to just like filter for the grade 4 Anj, not Anj, the Kairi. And in my top 4 game, I was actually really scared I wasn't gonna hit it. And because I was bottom decking so many cards, I was able to hit it by the time I had road grade 3.
Wow.
So like it actually came in like a lot. Eileen actually came in quite a bit. So it was pretty good. And also like Eileen let me see a 6 damage shield on top of my deck against a Flagberg player. So like I was able to survive, even though they like survived my kill. So I was able to survive that because like I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like dig for that heal then. Top card is a heal. I'm leaving it on top. And my opponent was immediately like, that's probably a heal. Yeah, it was a heal or over trigger, right? So it's just like she came in quite a bit.
Wow. No, that's really cool. Like I like the fact that you can stack and you can use it to like aggressiveness, but also like defensiveness.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that I do really want to highlight too out of the deck list, the triggers, specifically the lineup. So I play separate because the format can be very volatile at times. Like being able to like stack triggers is like so good. Like that's like one of the best things you can do in this format, especially crits. And with crits too, the way it helps Kairi is it helps accelerate the opponent's damage so that they really feel the pressure, especially if they're guarding early and you don't have as much of an early game. Being able to like double crit will just like immediately set that momentum. So it makes it as if they're guarding early meant nothing. And specifically, I play all the vanilla crits because of the fact that they make better numbers if I need boosters, which did come up in the regionals. In testing, when the set first released, I noticed that anytime I played the effect crits and I needed to call them to be effective boosters, my Vanguard was a 22k line instead of a 23. And my opponent was able to survive against it because of that. And after like thinking about that, I was thinking, okay, like does this deck really need the soul crits? And it doesn't. Because Kinky immediately like solves your soul issue, and if you're playing against Prison, as long as you have Kinky, like you're fine. So I opted to switch it to the 5K triggers because being able to make a 10K column, being able to make an 18K line by just calling a trigger and the booster is already there makes that big difference, because again, the format is it is so shield dependent, and especially because the shield is a lot less I'm trying to find the word, sorry, it is a lot weaker, there we go, than for example in V, where you have 10K shields in grade
more
1s.
shield value cards in V.
And it came up actually quite a bit when I was pushing for games in the regionals, because I'd call them and they make 18. I'd have a 10K booster, so my Vanguard was swinging for 23. Like, so I just wanted to highlight that because I feel like that's something that I also noticed a lot of Kairi players were playing the effect crits. And that like I felt like my deck had a natural edge too in the trigger lineup because I was playing the regular crits, and I was able to be aggressive the way I needed to be if I had to commit and like win that turn.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I think that one of the things that, you know, like even if you did use the effect crits, like you would rather call other boosters, like the grade 1s,
100%.
right? So it's like, does that scenario ever really come up already? And you pretty much like, nah, let's just use the vanilla
and like
crits,
the 2K as well, it's like it never comes up. The 2K never comes up.
So
it's just like, I don't even need this. Like, I'm just gonna like put more vanilla crits in and just bash them with like these like 10K shields, dude.
Yeah, and if you're good on Sol, then yeah, that makes sense. And I think you already had a solution for the Prison matchup too, which has come up multiple times too.
Oh my god, yeah, the Prison matchup. Oh man, that was actually one of the matchups I was very afraid of when Kairi first dropped, and when I noticed, I was like, wow, this is Kairi's hardest matchup. So something that I also did to prepare was I play against the air. And then because I know the metagame so well, I'll simulate the matchups in my head.
Nice.
And I'll even punish myself if I make errors, because I need to
learn from them.
Learn, right? So like at work, if I'm on break or before my shift starts, like my coworkers would just see me like fiddling around with my cards and that kind of thing. At home, like I've spent like hours and hours just playing against the air or throwing both decks against each other, just because like it's another great way to practice and figure out the matchup.
It is.
So like that's
quick too.
That helped me, because like I'd always emulate it, and like I'd emulate it to the point to where like I figured out every single like different way I could play into the Prison matchup, to where Prison was just like super easy, and there was so many Prison players too at regionals, like so many. I think Prison was like the highest represented deck, followed by Flagberg, and then Shaman King and Kairi.
Okay, cool. No, it's really cool. And I guess that kind of answers my question. So your expected metagame was probably Prison because it was your worst matchup, right?
No, like I knew I was gonna see it, but I was actually expecting Shaman King, and I was really scared for Shaman King. I was really scared of it because I had only played against it like a few times. The week before regionals, on top of that, keep that in mind. And my matchup against Yo Asakara is like 50-50. Like it is a really hard matchup. So I was super scared of Shaman King, and then I kept getting beat by Flagberg constantly, so I was also really scared of Flagberg. But like I played against Flagbergs and I beat them both, so I was like, okay, like I got this, like I'm good. Like Prison, I was even like telling everybody at the venue, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm so ready, like give me them Prison players. I'm good, I got this. Like I'm gonna just like beat them, man. Like I could place like all just Prisons and I'd be a-okay with that.
Awesome. I guess that leads me a little bit into your matchups. Did you want to go over your run a little more detail?
So round 1 and 2, I had the bye because I won the bye card early on in the season. So I was just like watching my friends in premium and just running around. And round 3, I played against Flagberg, and I think that tested me on my mental fortitude in terms of keeping calm in the game, because the guy hit over trigger turn 1 offensively. Then he hit 4 active heals, one of them being on 6, and like a bunch of triggers, like consistent defensive triggers. He was hitting crits left and right. He like it was really like the triggers were in his favor.
Literally, yeah.
But like what definitely I think let me win the game, especially after he 6 damage heal, because he was like, oh my god, 6 damage heal, let's go. And I was like, I just look at him like dead face, like poker face, just okay, pass turn. Like my resolve hasn't changed, I'll just win. Like my thought was, okay, I guess I win the next turn, that's okay.
No, that's the only thing you can do.
And then I won the next turn. It's like okay. Round 2, I played against Flagberg again.
Okay.
And it was a really, really close game. I think my opponent made a bit more errors because they took my bait. So like I called La Plume turn 1, and then I called my grade 0 from soul to the front row to bait them into swinging into it. Because ideally I want to stay at 0 damage. And even if I have Melty can be a bit of bait if you think about it, because again, every damage you take can snowball, especially in this format, right? And if you're using Melty by turn 1, you'll want to take more damage to keep plussing from her. But then in certain matchups like Bob Sagara or Flagberg in this instance, that'll snowball in their favor because they want you to be at those higher damages so that you like defend, right? So I called it there because it's either they attack into it and take my bait and I save a card in hand, or like they immediately feel the pressure of my early game because like it's there and it's gonna hit them. Like I don't care. And so like even though they check a crit, again, it's like my second time being crit on like turn 1, just like okay, whatever. Their other rear guard that was standing just swung into the starter instead of attacking into me. So it was. So I saved that extra card, and it still did what it needed to do.
Good.
And then I counter rushed them, and like it became a matchup where like he didn't see Ascendant Assault, I believe, until like later on. Like he saw it like turn 3, and it was like the resenders. I think he was having a lot of trouble seeing.
Yeah.
And then it came down to him on my last turn, double healing. Oh my god! So he double 6 damage heals, and he no guards my 2 to pass, and I am the baller that I am with 2 to passes. It draw trigger, our Vanguard. Then I hit the over trigger. It's like, oh, okay, game's over. Hopefully, I swear, man. And then like he died. So I was like, thank God. Like, oh my god. Like, and I went like all into with my Vanguard because like, I'll break that 2 to pass if I have to win. So yeah, double 6 damage heal, guys. When there's like 4 live heals in that deck, yeah, it's great. Round 5, so my round 3, I played against the mirror match. I went second this time, so my first 2 rounds I went first. This time I went second. I had no Melty. This guy had Melty. He hits me hard early. I see 2 Melties in the damage zone. Whatever. The guy makes an error on his grade 3 turn because he attacked with the column and then swung with Kairi to bounce the column. I hit a defensive trigger, stopping his other rear guard from attacking. So like turn, right? And typically with the way you want to attack with the grade 3 Kairi, you want to poke with the first 2 rear guards, ideally, especially going up against decks like Flagberg, where they have the grade 2 that can restand if it attacks the rear guard. You want to empty your front row, right? So
that's a good point.
So they have to have that inlet pulse and the ascendant assault or double ascendant assault, right? To be able to get like 5 attacks, right?
Agreed.
And in the Kairi mirror or other like aggressive decks, you kind of want to prevent them from counter rushing, especially because your front row is very important, especially units like Larissa. They play a very big role in the deck's offense. So the fact that he didn't do it like that, like it costed him an extra attack, which meant an extra card out of my hand. So I maintained an extra card. And like I just like bashed him super hard in the face. Like turn 2, I remember too, I set up my grade 1 from the ride line from Soul as a booster because I was lacking in boosters. And he did that 2 turns too late, which allowed me to 2 to pass his Vanguard and then proceed to win the following turn.
Good.
I was in complete control as well because he was at like 4 damage while I was at like I think like 1 by the time he wrote grade 3. It was like something along the lines of 3 to 4, and I was at like 1 because I just like called cards and just bashed his face. Like that's the whole that's the Kairi mirror. Like that's literally it. And then like the grade 3 that puts stuff from Soul to counterblast 1 and get 10k. Yeah, she played a big role too. I had no Melties. I had so much counterblast, so I just kept using her.
Oh, I see. Because you didn't have that.
Like,
might as well.
Like 31 or 23. Like my next turn, 28, like.
And hidden magic numbers.
Shields. And like he just died on my first grade 3 turn. Sorry, grade 4 turn because he just like couldn't guard. Because by the time he was trying to guard, I had my numbers were 43 and 46, I believe. Because I hit like 2 triggers. So it's just like
right, that makes sense.
Like double trigger, right? But then there's like the Kiora line, the ride line grade 2 line with the boosters, that's 33 because she gets 5k when she's boosted. And then there's the Kinky boosted by the 8k booster and then the 2 triggers, right? So it is like 36, 33, and then it went up to 43 and 46. And then he just like lost. So it was like, okay, I got this. Round 6 I played against Prison. This is the guy that placed 3rd. And I had to damage deny him to swing momentum back in my favor. And because he went first and he had put me already to 3, I also didn't have Kinky. So my thought process is, okay, I'm going to counter rush his rear guards. He has like 4 cards in hand. I know he has the Pure Light. So if he doesn't want to ride that grade 4 to get card advantage, he's probably just gonna have like a super vanilla grade 3 turn, and I can just come right back in and just like push in my aggression.
I see.
He checks the over trigger, and I was like, okay. He just like rips through everything out of my hand, and there's nothing I can do. Okay, that's fine. I took that L there. Just like the one out he needed, he hit it. Kudos to him. Really nice guy. Bailey, shout out to you for being awesome. Then my last round, round 7, I played against Prison. I think I just like really sacked him. I went second, but like I was playing super aggressive, but it was also like I was like really sacking him because his turn 1 soul charge, he hit the over trigger. So first of all, I was like, thank God, like I don't want to deal with that again. And then I hit crit turn 1. I look at the top card of my deck. It's a crit. My Vanguard swings 20k. He knows I left it on top. No guard. It's another crit. I bash him again. He takes it. And then he 2-2 passes my Vanguard. I hit double draw. I have no other rear guards, right? And so it's just like, if you're going to do that, I'm just going to give it all effects there.
That's insane.
And he had like no shield. So it's just like, okay, all right, good game, buddy. Like, and I had everything as well to be able to like manage that game. So like, I won Swiss there, and then top 8. I played against a Virena player, and I knew the overdress matchup pretty well because I played against it quite a bit early on. In my testing for the shot challenge, because I was quite worried of playing against it because it is a deck that like, if the Virena player is also quite competent, it can be a very hard matchup, especially with the Amelia being able to like superior ride, get the damage ping. I've literally seen this like one player kill this Bastion player when he was at 3 because he double superior rode and double pinged him. So he pinged him to 5 and then just won that turn. So I knew that the deck could just like randomly do that. So I was a little nervous, especially because I went second. And then as I said before with Eileen helped me get to my grade 4 Kairi. It came down to me being scared that he would sack me, but he didn't. Because he was like guarding everything correctly. I had a lot of momentum in that game. It just came down to like the amount of triggers he checked on his last grade 4 turn. Luckily he was able to overdress anything there, so it was very lackluster, but I was still quite scared because it's like, okay, like if he checks like 3 triggers, like I think I lose. It's fine if he checks 2 because I'll go 3 to pass the Vanguard, and I don't want to like get like sacked out of top 8. I'm so close to like
literally
that potential for the world's invite, right? And he didn't check 2 triggers. He did not check 2 triggers. He checked 1 trigger. So I was like, okay, a-okay, and then I win. Then my revenge match against Bailey, that was top 4. He went first. I pushed him to 4 on my grade 2 turn. And then he does the prison thing. I do my thing. I empty out my board and stuff. He rides Pure Light, only 2 cards, easy, right? Only 2 cards because I emptied out my Sullen board. So she's like, yeah, take the 2 cards, whatever. Next turn, I ride Kairi and I play super aggressive. I force a lot of his hand out. He draws, and he does not get the re-ride for the Pure Light. So it's still back and forth. He had checked over trigger as well defensively during one of my turns. So it was like, okay, that's whatever. I'll bash him in the face and I'll just like bash his rear guards. All good. Everything is okay. I counter checked my over trigger the following turn defensively. So like both of our turns were quite vanilla, which is really funny, I thought, because it was like, oh, nice. You have a vanilla turn. I had a vanilla turn. So it's all good.
Now we're back.
Then, yeah, pretty much. Like, it's like, okay, nothing's changed. He didn't see the second Pure Light for 2 turns, which definitely, I think for sure it played a big role because he wasn't able to keep up any real momentum. Like his second Pure Light turn, he only had 2 cards in prison because he was only able to he was able to like blind mill, I think 1, and then shovel stud the other. So it's like only 2 cards, right? Because he couldn't rewrite. And then I grinded out the game. There was a chance for him to come back actually, because like once he saw his Pure Light, he had like 6 or like 8 cards in prison. So by that point, I was a bit worried because it's like, okay, like I have to close out the game sooner, right? And this is when it came down to like me like having to drop like a 3 to pass with the Lopil, and then it all came down to my following turn.
Yeah.
If he hit the heal on 6 and a 4-card deck with the 1 heal left in deck, it all just came down to that. Because even though if he had the other Pure Light, I think I would have lost. There's also 1 more Pure Light in the deck, and he had Soul Charge 1 too. So it's like, okay, there's 1 more Pure Light. If he rides that, and then I might not guard and just lose because I can't guard his lines.
Yeah.
Or if he 6 damage heals and he doesn't get the Pure Light, then I should be fine because I can just guard his rear guards because he can't swing with his Vanguard.
Right.
He does not check. It was on the bottom card of his deck. So I won.
Gotcha.
And then my fastest game was actually the finals.
Oh wow.
I won on my first grade 4 turn. I went first. He was at 4 when I was at grade 3. I ride grade 4, and then he just died.
What were you playing against?
Prison.
Oh, it was a
It was
prison.
his first time playing against Kairi too. Yeah.
He never faced Kairi
He never faced Kairi. He was a
until
super
the
nice
finals.
guy. I was
Yeah.
explaining everything to him too. Like I was like, yeah, I can explain my effects. If you have any questions too, like I got you.
Yep.
And he's just like, wow, like this is just so volatile. It's like, yeah, like when Kairi like goes first, it can just like,
Yeah.
it can just
It
end the game
snowballs.
really
Yeah,
fast.
it really does.
So like on my grade like 4 turn, I remember it was like, yeah, this is 33, this is 28. She's like, huh, and he's just like counting his shield and stuff. Like, how big's your Vanguard? 28. Oh,
It hurts the
yeah,
soul.
yeah, I just like, got it, and he's at like 5, right? And I like,
Mhm.
just like was bashing him super hard. So,
Yeah,
so
you
like,
gotta
yeah,
know the matchup where if he, he kind of suffered from it because he didn't know it, and it worked to your advantage, which is great.
it was that too, but also like the fact that he went
Mhm.
second, I think played a big role too, because like
Yeah.
I had prepared a lot specifically going second into prison because I needed to know
The worst
how to play
possible scenario.
advantage.
Mhm.
But I already knew that like I can apply the stuff I knew going second, going first, but I have that one extra turn of advantage because there's like a lot of ways you can play against it, and one way I have also figured to play against prison as well is to just grind out their pure lights by staying on grade 3 Kairi and consistently like emptying your board and your soul as long as you have the kinky, because then it's like, what are you gonna do? Like if you want to keep reriding, that's fine.
Huh.
If you don't want to, then I'll ride grade 4 and just like bash you super hard and you lose so much momentum.
That's an interesting
So
play style because you could just bounce stuff back anyway. That's a good point.
yeah, and you empty out your soul with grade 3 Kairi. So it's just like, so you just like play super aggressive like that with the one column, and then you just like grind it out like that. Especially if they have like the double the turquoise, the chick that negs 5k.
Yeah, turquoise. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like there was like I had other ways of playing it, and like I had many different options based on like what my hand was as well. When I
Gotcha.
saw it, I had like, and because I was able to play so aggressive in the early game, it was like, okay, I can like probably close out the game by my second grade 4 turn. I'm not even worried.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Like he just like died. Like
No, it's good. Yeah, and congrats again for winning the whole thing. So, what does that
Thanks.
also mean? That you go to Worlds, right?
Yeah, I'm going to LA. I'm going to go to LA. I'm the first person in my community to win a regionals, so that was another thing.
That's cool.
And this is my second Worlds, which I'm really excited for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely planning on winning it. And my mom is super excited as well because like she can now come because she doesn't. We don't need to worry about paying for my expenses because like
Right.
I get the
it saves so much money.
like her out, and then we can go together. And like I know some family lives in like Mexico, like in like Mexicali, which is like I'm pretty
The
sure
bottom.
Mexicali is like, yeah, like right there where it's like across the border, and they
Yeah.
can just like enter, right? So like I'm very excited to go
Wow.
to Cali to like go compete in my second Worlds. I'm like super pumped.
That's so exciting, and you're bringing somebody with you too. On top of that, that's really cool.
Yeah,
excited
and
for
I'm
you.
also
Go
with
ahead.
my community members because they also qualified.
Oh yeah, you're going with
So
your homies.
yeah. So my best friend Shanko, he was my like biggest testing partner
Oh,
and
was he the
biggest like
Malakov player?
pardon?
Was he the Malakov player
He
for
was.
V-Premium?
I told him to play it too. I already knew of this deck because he's like,
Mhm.
he's
That
a
deck's really
phenomenal,
good.
a avid Angel Feather main
Yep.
and Bermuda Triangle main. He's the one that actually got me to start playing Bermuda. And like we were talking too, he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna play Anj or like Malkuth's like, you gotta play Malkuth, man. Like
Yep.
it's so tuned out to the meta game.
Mhm.
Gurgwit just got hit as well, so like your worst matchup being Gurgwit, like you don't even need to worry about playing into
I
the
know, right?
Gurgwit matchup. And also like you have so many ways to deal with Steam Maidens, you have so many ways to deal with all the other top force clans, like there's just no way. Like you just gotta play it.
Right.
And he did it, right? And nobody knew how to play it.
Yeah,
into
literally.
it.
Yeah, I remember the first time I faced that in the virtual bro. I was like, okay, this is my first time, and it's really good, like for real.
Yeah, and it was also specifically it was protect marker spam, so it is protect marker
Protect two.
spam.
Yep.
Either protect 1 or 2. Protect 2 you can actually spam because like he had the angel that can give more stuff intercept, so you make the hospital super fat, and then it becomes this like really fat interceptor
Yep.
as well. So, like against Steam Maidens, he had like 3 intercepts, like 2 of them were on like protect 2
Yeah.
markers and stuff, were super fat. So like the piano man, it was like not even phased him.
So
It didn't
cool.
even phase him. But
What-
yeah, it was him.
I was gonna say I'm glad that your friends are going with you too. So
Yeah,
after the tournament, did you take some time to like celebrate or maybe like reflect on, anything like that?
yeah. We went out for dinner. My friend Harold, who placed third in Vancouver with Nightmare Dolls, we were both like super hyped because this was his first regionals. So
Hmm.
obviously it's super hyped. But also we were both player 35.
That's
So we
fire.
had the same number, right? So like we were like super hyped and we went out for dinner and it was like such a blast. And then um I got to my hotel room and then it was like sinking in as I was watching Blue Lock,
Mm.
like started to sink in, like, oh my god, like I did it. And then I just kept staring at my certificate, like for like a solid like 10 minutes, just
Yep.
like it says champion and it says my name there, like fine.
I know. Were you like that the next morning when you woke up too?
Oh, and the next morning I was like, I woke up and was like, wow, like I actually did it. This is
All right, did that
awesome.
really
I'm gonna
happen?
try getting top eight like today. Like I'm gonna try getting that back-to-back top eight. Because I want that top in V. So I tried. I placed 10th with Anj, so I was really close. Just came down to
So
tiebreakers.
close.
But I'm still very happy with my performance.
That's always good.
Yeah. So yeah, like that was like kind of what I did, and my mom and I were very happy. And we were talking about it, and she told like my family and stuff, and they were
Oh
all
yeah,
very
she
like,
bragging.
oh yeah, she was like, Sergio made it to his like second worlds. He won regionals. He's going to LA. Like,
That's so cool. I'm glad you have a supportive
yeah,
mom like that.
yeah. Mom is like definitely one of my biggest supporters.
No, that's awesome. Cool. One of the things that I like to ask too is for like the viewers as a takeaway question. Now that you've already had success before, what's one thing that you think that holds players back from getting their own tops?
Mental fortitude, I think, is a big one, especially because I noticed that like,
Mm-hmm.
so like my round one opponent in standard, I whipped out my Worlds 2018 map because like originally I was actually gonna whip out my 2019 top 8 map, but I forgot it at home, so I was like, okay, Worlds it is. And I noticed that he was really shaky and really nervous, even though like that player had proceeded to make top 8 like after
Mm-hmm.
Swiss. He was still very nervous against me, and like then like
Mm-hmm.
playing against other players in day 2, they had known that I won the previous day, and they were just like,
Oh.
you won, right? And I was like, yeah, I won standard, because I also had my top 8 standard man and everything. I'm playing
Mm.
Bermuda Triangles. People caught on that I was playing Kairi, right?
Yeah.
And so I noticed that like somebody made the comment that it's very intimidating.
Mm.
Um, that it was very intimidating to play up against somebody like that. And then the other guy was like, even though he was a very good player, like my round 2 opponent that was playing Steam, it's very, very good player. He was still like super shaky and that kind of thing. And like I was just feeling really relaxed. So like I feel like when you play against somebody that you know has done well or does well, like,
Mm-hmm.
and like that, like I feel like that plays a big role in like the mental fortitude and
Yep.
the drive, because it's intimidating. And
Yep.
something that I learned specifically as well from Blue Lock, because Blue Lock has changed my life completely, with the mentality, it, even though like there are all these players that are better than you,
Mm-hmm.
the way that you're going to be able to surpass them is to learn from them and what their strengths are, and then be able to use that to overcome them.
Yeah.
So anytime I play up against a good player, like for example, like Tyler Yu was there from WCC,
Yeah.
and like he had to buy, and I was just like, I hope we play, bro. Like I want to play you. Like I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't scared. I was super excited, super pumped. All the players from like top 8 and stuff, I wasn't that nervous. I was more so excited because like
Yeah.
these are like these are really good players, and I have a chance to overcome them and prove I'm the best. So like I think that's definitely a big thing that can really scare people. I think the nerves, especially when you like somebody whip out like a top 8 mat or a top 4 mat or a
Right.
world's mat, because it's like, wow, like this person's really experienced.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I definitely think
Go ahead.
that for sure holds people back. And one more thing it was that really stands out to me is always the like, oh, this person hit a trigger and like I'm like on tilt now, and like that kind of thing, because it's like, because I've also learned that luck is something that more so like the reason why it can affect a lot of games. Like, yeah, it's going to be random at times.
Yeah.
But the times that it wins, it's because it is a opportunity and it is a chance that was created throughout the game by the player, and they took that chance.
Right.
So that's how I take a look at losing to Sack nowadays. And like, I'm not even phased by it, because it's like, yeah, like
Good.
they took the chance and they succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
Like they skillfully outplayed me there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even mad. And I think that's something else that can very much so intimidate players, like in the sense where they're like, damn, he's 6 damage healed. Like I could have went on tilt, like after being over triggered that one game, like the 4 active heals and like all the defensives, and I could have tilted off the world like if he like 6 damage healed and then lost because of it. But I just decided like no, it's fine. Like my thought process in that moment exactly was, that's okay. I'll just win next turn.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing is like you have a mindset of not being scared of somebody, you embrace the challenge. And the second thing is like what you said, like even if things don't go in your favor, just move on, you know?
Yeah, like whatever. Like even against the overtrigger, everybody was pointing out, it's like in my round 6 loss, they were like, you were playing that like so perfectly. And so I was like, yeah, I know. And like honestly, I'm not even mad. I'll just win the next game. And that's literally what I said. And then I proceeded to win the next game. And then I made top 8. And it's like, and I won, right? So it's like, it's whatever. I'll just win the next game.
That's so key. Because sometimes people take that baggage to the next game and they eventually scrub out, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I know that that's happened to me before locally.
It's happened
like
to all of us.
Asphyxiated on like my losses or making errors and like
being too hard on yourself, things like that.
To just like, it's okay. Just like move on. Like you can learn those, you can reflect still and be like, okay, I know next time that this is the correct positioning and that this is this. And I know what to do now in this situation. And now I've improved for the next game. So I'm just going to go win the next game with these improvements I made from the last game.
Absolutely.
That's definitely a big thing that I was able to, that I think this whole people back in that was able to help me succeed.
No, that's good. Thanks for sharing with that too. And I know that you like use Metafy as well. So is there something that you want to share about Metafy, how it's helped you recently?
Metafy, like, so like I was actually supposed to have sessions with Derek Dow, but like I slept in through one by accident because like he lives in Australia and I live in Canada, right? So it was like 6 in the morning and I just like like knocked out, slept through my alarm, so cursed. And then my computer decided to like die. So I wasn't able to do more sessions with you. And I was like, no, what am I gonna do for regionals now? But what's helped me specifically with Metafy is not just like my technical play, because I feel really confident in my technical play and being able to read the flow of the game now, but it's more so the mentality aspect of it. Because like since working with you, I felt like I've definitely been able to get a much stronger mental game, especially because like 2 weeks ago, like I was feeling like so insecure about my performance, so like doubtful in myself. And this is also before I started rated Blue Lock. So like both the things that you have helped me learn and what I've learned from you, and plus reading Blue Lock, because like that series just completely changed my mentality and like my life. Like it gave me that strong mental game to be able to just like go in and like just do my thing and perform, and I did that. So like that's something for sure, like if people are interested in Metafy, I highly recommend, because the mental aspect I think is super underrated. Like having a strong mental, like you even see it in professional athletes, and I also keep up with a lot of professional athletes. Like it's the same mental, because we're all competitors at the end of the day. We all have that same objective to be the best and to win.
Absolutely.
So the game is very similar. So definitely like with doing the coaching, like being able to have somebody that can point out these things and help me come to the conclusion of, oh, this is why. And like being able to reflect with you, and you're like, and you allowed me to see more of like my mental and what I need to work on mentally. That definitely, so highly recommend y'all, if y'all want to like go get sessions with this guy or Derek Dow or anybody else on Metafy, highly recommend. Because even if you think you're like really strong on like playing wise, like technical play, you know how to read flow really well, and even like the coaches like are like, yeah, like you're super solid with your play, the mental part, it might be something you may need to work on, and that definitely helped me. So that was definitely like the big takeaway I've had from Metafy, like the mental aspect.
That's awesome, and thank you for sharing that too. Like it's not just me, it's also Derek and a few others like Quardeep and Team Bascaro as well, and
yeah, I
many
saw
more
that.
things.
And
I know, right?
I think it's super awesome. Like I love it. Like I still want to take sessions with Derek, and like some other players, because there's also like, it's just the opportunity as well to play against a variety of different world-class players. Like that's another thing that I love about Metafy. Like I don't care if I have to spend like $30, like that's fine. Like I even like told you, it's like the fact that I get to play against more world-class players as well is just so much better for experience and being able to like see how different like players like play, because everybody's different too. If you think about it as well, right? Like, everybody's gonna play differently, whether it's the clans, the way they play the certain decks, right? and the flow of the game, etc. Right? So it's just like being able to get experience from a multiple variety of different high tier players is like super good.
Yeah, and that's the thing, not everybody has access to that, or sometimes even if you do know people, they may not have the time or best interest
Yeah.
in you, because at the end of the day, like, it's just a friend, and so that they're not incentivized fully to help you in your best interest too. So Metafy gives that opportunity for a student to really get the advantages of it and get the most value from their sessions too. So
Oh, 100%,
yeah,
especially
and it
because
saves you time in the long run, which could honestly save you money too as well.
yeah, and like especially something I noticed too specifically is like because like you're just so invested in your students, it really feels like I'm able to really take away things and like a quick cash grab, you know, like it's like you're actually helping me, and now I have the results too from that help. Because
Absolutely.
I don't think I would have made it back to Worlds, let alone even a top 8 with my mentality like 2 weeks ago without the help.
Right. Exactly. No, that's a big thing too. Sometimes it's like you're capable of, but like during that event, like your mind has to be right. And that's one of the
Yes.
things you realize. And it's worked out for you, which I'm grateful for it too. Because it's not easy. Sometimes a lot of us are around people that kind of like bring us down, or sometimes like pessimistic, and sometimes that like rubs on us. So we're trying to like break those paradigms too on top of that, just trying to go with ambitious goals that we have. So I'm proud of you, bro.
Thank you.
And I guess lastly, just to say, like, do you have any shout outs?
I do. So obviously my best friend Shanko, my big bro, he's the guy that also pushed me to keep up with Kairi, like for BRO, and then that solidified my my deck list for regionals. So kudos to him. Shout outs to him. Shout outs to you as well. Shout outs to Jay from Team Cardiff, because before my computer decided to die, we had like a few like testing games and we had talked on Discord a little bit, and that really helped, especially into my matchups with like Steam Maidens. And I hope that he was also able to get a lot out of like what I was telling him with like Gurgwit and Anj and that kind of thing as well. I wanted to give a big shout out to my community as well, the rest of my community. Without the community, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I'm very grateful for everybody in my local community. Very grateful to my mom as well. So shout out to my mom, because without her being this supportive, I wouldn't have even like gone to a regional. So like shout outs to her as well. And yeah, I'm really excited for Worlds, y'all. And I'm gonna be gunning for that first place. So y'all better watch out.
Right, as everybody should be.
Yeah.
I'm excited to not only like meet you, bro, but also meet so many fantastic players too. It's
too.
ridiculous. Like this year is stacked.
Oh my god, this year it just gives me chills thinking about it. Like going back again to play against the best of the best. Oh my god, it gives me chills.
Oh, I know, man. It's so cool. I'm excited for that too. So where can people find you on social media?
So I am on Twitter. I am I think, okay, I'm pretty sure my Twitter is Sergio the Taco. That's typically what I go by. I'm also on Facebook, so feel free to like hit me up on Facebook. I am on Vanguardians. I did make a post recently about like topping with Kairi, y'all. So if anybody has questions, feel free to hit me up. And I am on YouTube as well, but I haven't posted in a long time. I'm thinking about rebranding and like starting that up.
That's exciting.
So my channel right now is called Sergio, but it'll probably change to Sergio the Taco, because at this
funny.
point
Just
I am
keep it
Taco.
consistent.
Yeah, at this point I am the Taco, man. Like even like my Twitch like account just to watch different fight, it's Sergio the Taco. My Discord's also Sergio the Taco, guys. So again, feel free to hit me up if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, and I'll definitely put it in the description so people can find you more easily too. So thanks again for hopping on the interview. And again, I'm proud of you for like winning the whole thing and re-qualifying for Worlds, which is super big. And so I remember the first night we got on Metafy, and that was one of your goals, and you were very upfront about it, which I appreciate, because sometimes we can be a little bit what's the word, passive about big goals. So it's like, it would be nice, to get to Worlds, but you were after it, dude. And in just literally in a couple months, boom, it happened for you.
Yeah, and I'm super excited, because like it's been my dream since I was 9 to be the world champ and to be the youngest world champ, and hopefully I'm the youngest competitor again. I'm hoping, but if there's another young person out there, let's go. But I'm very excited, and this Worlds too, like I feel like I have another shot at it again. It feels very special, because it's like it's my second Worlds too. So the first time wasn't a fluke. Like it wasn't this one-time thing that will never happen again. Like I made this happen. So like I'm very excited, and I'm really excited to start my prep. I've already started in the sense of just watching gameplay from Japan, like studying up in the set 7 metagame, because that's what we're going to be entering. I'm taking a deload week still for sure, because I made the mistake of jumping right into Worlds prep when I came back last time, and I was super burnt out by the time I went to Worlds. So I'm going to be taking like a deload week to just like play something like super casual.
Yourself. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, before I start like getting back into the grind.
No, I definitely understand. The grind can burn you out if you're not too careful. No, I get it. Awesome.
Yeah, especially like after the weekend of competing, and then you're just like right back into it, just like, okay, gotta like figure out lifts, gotta like do this, that, right? It's like, I've already learned from my first Worlds.
No, that's really good. You're learning and everything like that. So thanks again for hopping on. And for the viewers, on to the next one. See you, amigos. Bye.